until there is a commitment in your relationship, be very careful with mixing your finances.
Right. Hi guys, welcome back to another finance discussion with Skilled Finances. My name is Lindy and this is Tando. If you're joining us for the first time, we're super excited to have you here with us. This is definitely the place to be if you want to learn skills about how to level up your finances with the focus on couples finances and family finances. Make sure you click the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. That way, if any new video comes up, you'll be notified. And make sure that you're following us on social media at Skilled Finances. So this week we're doing a bit of an interesting chat actually, because don't know about you guys, but a lot of people have watched the Tinder Swindler, and it's brought up a lot of conversation around money and relationships and what to do if you ever find yourself in a situation like that. I know for us it was definitely like, wow, like, you know, I was mind blown watching that, because I feel like it went from okay, let's see what's going to happen. And you kept getting shocked by the things that were happening. So we're going to dive in and just have a chat about some money lessons that we learned literally from watching the Tinder Swindler. And we hope that you'll find this super useful.
Now, if you haven't seen Tinder Swindler yet, it is on Netflix and it's a documentary. It's definitely worth watching. As Linda said, we we went on an emotional roller coaster whilst watching it. But if you haven't seen it, it's essentially a story of the guy who goes on Tinder, finds girls, connects with them, and essentially builds a false relationship with them, eventually to essentially start scamming them out of their money and asking them to, help him financially in various different ways, but huge amounts of money that people end up in debts in the sum of six figures.
Right.
It is unbelievable. Today, we're sharing with you just 5 money lessons that we feel we have learned and we'd like to share with you from watching this documentary. So the first lesson for me is until there is a commitment in your relationship, be very careful with mixing your finances.
Right.
So what happens in this documentary is that the guy who's called Simon, he basically starts asking these ladies to take out debts and credit cards in their name, but for him, with a
Right.
promise to pay it back. Now, for me, I'm just like, you know what? Until we're committed, let's not go down this road, right? Because Simon was making so many promises to them. He was
Yeah.
like, oh, I can see a future with you. I can see us having
Yeah.
babies, and I
Like we're
can
going to
see
get
us,
married.
yeah, gonna get married,
Yeah.
gonna move in together, all of this stuff, like making all of these promises. And, like that's basically what you do in a relationship. Fair enough. He's playing game. I get it. But until there's a ring on your finger or until there is like a roof over your head that you both have signed together, for me, I'm just like, nah, let's
Yeah.
let's not mix the finances. It's kind of like one of my favorite books is the book of Proverbs, and in that book it says that like be careful of these people because they're like cloud without rain.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you can see, okay, the promise, like the rain is coming, but the rain actually never comes. And that's kind of like how I say it. I'm like, until we are actually committed and we are saying we are together, we're in a
Yeah.
relationship, you're my wife or you're my partner, we are living together in the same roof, sleeping in the same bed, we both have signed the lease or we own the property together, whatever that commitment means to you, until that actually happens, we're not going to be mixing money at all.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that, because I think having that commitment gives you reassurance that actually, yeah, we are together, we're doing things together, because it's a huge ask. Like asking someone to take out debt for you in your name it's a huge ask. And the danger in that is that if the person that's asked you to do it then doesn't give you the money back, then you're now liable for that debt. You know, it's now yours and you have to pay it off. So definitely think being committed and having some sort of commitment gives you that reassurance that, you know what, at least we're doing things together, we're moving together, and we're together.
So for us, what we would say is talk to your partner and be very clear upfront about what commitment
Right.
means to the both of you, and make sure that you're both on the same page about this so that when you are starting to have these money conversations, because it will happen, right? Your partner might be like, oh, you know what, I might need a little bit of help with money here and there, but you just need to be clear upfront and say to them, okay, until our relationship crosses over a certain point, this is as far as we're going to take regarding money, and we won't be mixing our finances or sharing money until this happens. So have a conversation with your partner about it and be very clear on the onset about what your expectations are. So that's the first money lesson. What is the second money lesson?
I'd say the second money lesson is to not make financial decisions under peer pressure.
Mm.
So I feel like it's very easy because when you look at a relationship, it's to do with love as well. So there's the emotional aspect of it. So it's very easy if you're in a relationship and you're with someone that you love and they ask you for money to feel like, oh, I have to do it, like to do it under peer pressure. And it's a very dangerous thing to make decisions under peer pressure. I feel like if you were to spend, like, if someone was to say to you, okay, can you buy me a dress for £50 or can you borrow me £50? It's a very different situation as to when someone is saying to you, can you actually take out a payday loan for £5,000? Do you know what I mean? And a lot of financial decisions shouldn't be made under pressure. I feel like it's good to take a step back. If you've been asked, take a step back. Actually take some time to think about it. Think about the pros of doing that for the person, or think about, if I take out this 5,000 payday loan for this person, what will happen if I don't get the money back? What will happen if I find myself in a situation where they're not able to pay me back? Am I then able to pay that 5,000 back? Do I have the 5,000 personally to be paying it back? I think it's important to take a step back, look at what you're being asked and think, can I actually do this? If I'm not able to get the money back, can I actually pay it back? Can I afford to pay it back? So it's definitely important not to make decisions under peer pressure.
And this applies to any sense, right? It's not even just about a loan. And
Yeah.
sometimes, like, we've seen relationships or couples where, one partner's being honest and saying, I'm feeling the pressure to
Yeah.
get a mortgage with my partner because they really want a house, but I don't. Or some other financial decisions in that sense. Or like, I feel the pressure to open a joint account. I don't
Yeah.
want to open a joint account, but my partner does. And they're pressuring me into it. And so, yeah, we definitely say, like, we get it when those kinds of conversations
Mm.
happen, but don't make the decision when you're feeling the peer pressure,
Yeah.
because the honest truth is, in that moment you're not making a decision rationally. You're kind of making a decision because you're feeling the pressure, you just want it to stop, so you just agree to it. But actually, just take a moment to breathe, because
Yeah.
this was what was happening in the documentary. So in the documentary, Simon would say, "Send me money now, my enemies are after me, and this is happening right now, and right now,
Yeah.
right now, right now, right now." And it's like, okay, just hear him out, say, okay, I get it, but let me just take an hour, let me just breathe, like, within myself, before I make any decision or
Yeah.
sign any contract. Let me just take that moment to think about it. The third money lesson that we'd like to highlight is that money is actually very, very emotional.
Right.
Now, it's so easy for us to be talking about money and kind of jump into the numbers and start talking about, like, budgeting, or,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, interest rates and compounding interest and
Yeah.
all of the figures, the financial figures that come with finance. And so, and that's one part of it. But another part of it is that we are still human beings. And as
Yeah.
human beings, we are still very emotional. Now, as much as we may like to fool ourselves to think that we make rational decisions, half of the time they are still emotionally driven in some way,
Yeah.
shape, or form. So take saving money, for example. Saving money is it's a very transactional thing that you do. You put money aside because you wanted to save money for an emergency fund, let's say.
Mm.
But if you think about it, the reason why you want it is because you don't want to worry about money when an emergency happens.
Yeah.
That's an emotional drive. Or you want to invest money because you want to build wealth for your future, to
Yeah.
give you the option to work, or to give you the option to not worry about money again in the future. Again, it's transactional on the surface, but it's very emotional underneath.
Exactly.
And sometimes we ignore this a lot. And the reason why this is important to understand is because, like, I'll be very honest, we were watching this TV show thinking, but how could they not see it? Like,
Yeah.
how could they just, like, fall for the scams? Like, how can anyone in fact fall for that scam? How could they not see that this guy right here is literally scamming them out of money after, like, day after day, week after week? But it's because he understood the con, unfortunately. And for me, on the surface, like, we can say, oh, he financially swindled them out of their monies. But actually, it was an emotional scam, because what he did was he would play on the emotions. He would tell them what they felt they needed to hear
Right.
from a relationship perspective, right? He would say things like, I love you, I miss you, good morning, babe, and I'm thinking about you, and I just want to
Yeah.
be with you. Pulling those emotional strings bit by bit, so that when he brings money to the table, he knows that you're no longer making the decision from a rational transactional mindset,
Yeah.
but you're making it because, like, emotionally speaking, you love him, so of course you want to help him. But, like,
Exactly.
transactionally, you have to be like, actually, this doesn't make sense. But you won't really think that way because it's very emotionally driven, and that's the real con here. That's the real game being played. It's a financial scam or financial swindling on the surface, but the real con and the real scam is actually more like emotional blackmail, if you'd like,
Yeah.
causing you to make financial decisions because you emotionally you're compromised.
That actually leads us on perfectly to the fourth lesson that we learned, which is getting an outsider's opinion or point of view on the situation. So if you find yourself in a similar situation where you're constantly being asked for money in a similar way that Simon was asking those ladies for money, it's not a bad idea to actually speak to someone and actually have a conversation and ask them what they would do or what they think. Sometimes when you're in the situation, it's hard to literally like think outside of the box. It's hard to then think beyond what you're being asked. But it's such an important thing. If you've got a friend that is a really good friend that you can just talk to, or even your parents or someone around you who is willing to listen and give you advice, not because they're a yes person, like, oh yeah, because they love you, definitely do it, but because they're thinking logically and they'll see the situation from an outsider's point of view. It's good for you to just sit down and have a conversation with them. Ask them what they think. Ask them if they were in a similar situation, what would they do? Because I know that if I was in a similar situation, I would really appreciate someone else's point of view and what they thought.
Yeah, there's two parts in the documentary where this actually came out. So the first lady, I think her name is Cecilia or something like that. Initially, when she initially met Simon, she like went on his private jet and she was texting her friends. And like
Yeah.
it was quite funny how like one of her friends was like, "That sounds dangerous," kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like they were like, "Red flags are going off here. This doesn't sound normal." But she kind of carried on with it. But I think sometimes people who are not in that situation are able to kind of really look at it from without the emotional attachment, if you
Yeah.
like, and kind of say, actually, no, that doesn't sound right. I don't think you should do that. And I think if she had maybe called one of those friends again and said, guys, this is the
Yeah.
situation. He's asking me for money. What do you guys think? Maybe that could have gone a different light because those friends would have said, nah, this didn't sound right since the day you went in this
Yeah.
private jet, kind of thing. But the second thing as well is that, or the second part of the documentary was the last lady. I can't remember her name right now. um the third lady in the documentary, she didn't even realize any of this until she saw the news article about him.
Yeah.
And then that opened her eyes to say, oh yeah, he's been swindling me out of money, like to the tune
Yeah.
of almost six figures, kind of thing. And had she not read the article, she might not have had that opinion or seen it from that perspective. And that's the power really of like speaking to somebody else.
Yeah.
They see a different perspective than what you are seeing right now, and what you're going through. And this applies whether you are in a relationship, if you're not in a relationship, if you want to make any financial decisions. It's always great to just have a second or third opinion from other people, not because like you're trying to ask somebody else what you should do, in a sense of like you only do what they tell you, but you're just trying to make sure that you're well informed of the
Yeah.
decision that you're about to make, and you've considered the various perspectives from other people. And the fifth money lesson is actually going to be from that very third woman that was on the documentary. The fifth lesson is to take responsibility of your financial position. It was so incredible how like she could have played the victim card and said, he scammed me out of money, he should pay me back, and just kind of pursue that road. But actually what she did in the documentary is that she came up with a plan. She said, you know what? I know this guy likes his designer clothes. I'm gonna take those clothes and I'm gonna sell them
Yeah.
on eBay. And she was like, I'm gonna swindle the swindler, kind of
Yeah.
thing. And I think that's actually a very, very powerful lesson to take from this, because honestly speaking, that's basically her saying, I'm in this position. Maybe yes, it was his fault that I'm in this position, but I'm going to do what I can to come out of it, and I'm going to do what I can to basically take ownership that basically found myself here. So what can I do to get out of
Absolutely.
this position?
Yeah.
And I think this is actually probably one of the most powerful lessons for me out of this documentary, because so, like, we at one point were in debt, and it was easy for us to be pointing fingers at each other or like blaming other people, other than actually saying, you know what, I have to take ownership of this. I was the one who swiped the credit card in the first place. I was the one who made the transfers in the first place.
Yeah.
I was the one who made these decisions. And so it's a big lesson to say, actually, yeah, I'll put my hands up. Yes, I am a victim, but I'm going to take ownership of my actions in this position, and I'm going to do what I can to come out of it. And I think that's a powerful thing that she really did.
Yeah, it's definitely powerful because she could have sat there and just been like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, no, he did it. But then it's like what you mentioned, that when we were in debt, we had to get to a point where we realized that actually, no, we can't just sit in the situation. We need to do something about it. And I guess that was the powerful thing, that she did something. Yes, she had been emotionally abused. Yes, money had been taken from her. Yes, she had found herself in a position that I'm pretty sure she would have never wanted to be ever in, but she did something about it, and that was powerful. I saw that and I was like, wow, yes, she's swindling the swindler, but at the same time, it's like, wow, what a powerful step to take, because you're trying to get yourself out of this position that you've now found yourself in.
And there you have it. Those are the 5 money lessons that we've learned from watching Tinder Swindler. Now, we'd be really, really interested to know what you think of it. And if you haven't seen it, trust us, guys. It's a must watch, if anything, just to learn from it, if anything. Now, we actually have got a free couples budgeting guide that you can download. If you're in a position right now, you and your partner are thinking about, well, how can we make sure that we are managing money in a way that works for the both of us? Definitely download that guide. Go to skilledfinances.com/free couples budget, or click the link in the description to download it today. Now, let us know in the comments. Have you seen Tinder Swindler? What do you think about it? What did you learn from it? What did you gain from it? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for joining us today, and we will definitely see you soon.